Hey guys, Peter at BJTechNews here. We're at Special Edition Comic-Con in New York City. We are here with artist and comic book historian extraordinaire Arlen Schumer. Hey Arlen.
Hey Peter, how are you, man?
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
So what are you doing here at the Comic-Con?
Well, I'm promoting the fact that my book that's out of print now, The Silver Age of Comic Book Art, came out about 10 years ago. I'm republishing in both print and digital formats, so I prepared this postcard to hand out. The book will be out later this summer, the digital in a couple of weeks, but if people go to my Facebook group on the Silver Age of Comic Art or scan the QR code, they can become a member and they'll be the first to get all the updates, limited edition, signed hardcover, and wherever I'm lecturing and promoting the book.
Well, what kind of lectures do you do?
Well, today at the convention at 5:30, I'm lecturing on the Silver Age, which is really, the 1960s in comics and how the comic book artists, the characters, the artwork itself mirrored what was happening in the decade. And that's really what, the book is about. It's all about the comic art and how it reflected. Let me show you in the beginning.
Check it out. So you've got Marvel and DC in here.
Marvel and DC in the 60s. For instance, there's a spread that I call the Marvelous 60s and how Thor was used in the first LSD poster when it was legal.
Wow.
In 1966. And that's just one
Did Thor
spread.
take acid?
What?
Did Thor take acid?
No, but Doctor Strange probably did because look, these otherworldly dimensions influenced the psychedelic artists of the 1960s.
Wow.
And they all admit it because all of these psychedelic worlds were drawn 4 or 5 years ahead of the psychedelic movement in San Francisco. In my introduction here, I actually show some of the posters that were influenced by Doctor Strange.
And so this is where all the movies we're seeing today. A lot of it's coming out of this stuff. A lot of the movies that are coming out today, it's coming out of this stuff.
The reason why I wanted to republish the book and in a digital for the new generation is that there is a new generation that's raised more on the movies, but the movies are all based on the superheroes that came out of the 60s, out of the Silver Age.
Yeah.
Comics have always been 25 years ahead of mainstream storytelling. So they're only getting around 50 years later making the characters that we grew up with in the Silver Age. Imagine what they'll be making about superheroes 25 years from now.
Yeah, wow.
So that's where we knew as kids that if Hollywood treated superheroes seriously, they could be great movies. Lo and behold, it took a whole generation to die off that thought comics were crap, were childish. The generation that's greenlighting all these superhero movies is of the Silver Age generation. And I'm doing a lecture at San Diego this summer on what I call art and comic book art, comparing the great Renaissance masters of the human figure, Michelangelo, Raphael, Da Vinci, to the great Silver Age artists who I believe 500 years from now, art historians will look back and treat our masters of the human figure like we treat the Renaissance masters. So I'm doing a lecture on it, I'm developing a 10-page verbal visual essay on it, and that's one of my sort of corollaries to the Silver Age is that, look, guys like Joe Kubert just passed away.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever make artistic marks ever in the history of art and ever did before Kubert. Those brushstrokes, those pen lines were Joe Kubert's only. And in the history of art, he was a giant who lived in our time.
Yeah.
And I believe, and maybe the work I'm doing will help to make what I'm saying come true. If you sort of build it, they will come.
So how can people find your book when it comes out?
Number one, they can go to my website, www.arlenschumer.com. They can go to Facebook, friend me, everything will be posted there. The the Silver Age of Comic Book Art Facebook group is the one-stop shop for all things Silver Age.
Okay.
As soon as the book comes out, they can get a limited edition signed hardcover, they'll know where I'm speaking, all that kind of stuff.
And so you're lecturing here today,
At
and then you're going to
5:30,
be
yes.
at San Diego Comic-Con.
Right.
And then you're going to be back here in October?
There'll be a great Connecticut comic convention in third week of August up in Bridgeport. I'll be lecturing all 3 days.
Okay.
And then, yes, I will definitely be back in October for the New York Comic Con. the art and comic book art essays being published in a beautiful comics anthology book that's debuting at the October convention. So I hope to do that lecture here as well.
All right, so you get that. If you like this stuff from the first time around, you remember it, or if it's new to you through the movies, go back and find out where it came from.
Yes.
This is the man who will tell you, who presented better than anybody in the world, Arlen Schumer. Thank you, Arlen.
Hey, Peter, I love you, man.
Oh, it's a pleasure.